Okay, people, welcome back to our last episode of the Carnival Christmas theme game. Today we are going to be finishing it off, hopefully, by adding in a timer and a game over menu so that you can restart the game once the game is finished. But other than that, I think we are going to be moving on to the other two games that we didn't finish yet, which is our Tetris game and what was the other one? Our Slab Stacker game that we completely forgot about, mainly because we ran into a bug. But that is what we're going to be doing today. The project is currently opening. It's taking a bit of a long time, so we're just going to wait for that to open up. But we need to get back to working on our Slab Stacker game. I don't even know if I would have it on this computer. I'll have to go and find it. We might actually, I think we're starting it from the scratch because we ran into a little bit of a surprise bug. Excuse me. And then things never worked from then. I couldn't figure out that bug, so we will scrap the first part. I'll probably take down those videos and remake them into a new project and upload them again, just because things might be a little bit different. We want to also try and add in the what's it called? I can't think of it. The actual slabs. I want to try and make it like a gradient, so whenever a new one pops into the game, it kind of changes color slowly, so that eventually when you have slabs on top of other slabs, you will eventually be able to see like a gradient of the color change. So that's what the aim of the game is, or in terms of the look of it. But we'll get there. We'll probably start that one tomorrow maybe. I don't know if I'm going to go into our Tetris game first or our Slab Stacker game. Probably the Slab Stacker because it might be quicker. But then after we've done that, we want to go and move back onto our our Tetris game, because that's pretty that game is quite complicated, so we want to get back into it and try and finish it off, and then we can start a new game. Don't know what it is, but we'll start a new game after that. And this, apparently it is open, but it's clearly not. Okay, it's still opening in the background. But today, like I said, we want to go and add in a timer to our game. So in our Carnival game, we are going to add a little timer, probably in, I think it's the top right corner that's currently empty. And what it's going to do, it's going to start at a random time, maybe like 10 seconds or 15 or 20 seconds, whatever we decide. And then it's going to count down from whatever the number is down to 0. And when you get to 0, you are going to be presented with a game over display, and then it will also tell you your score, and then there'll be a button saying, do you want to replay the game or do you want to go back to the main menu? But something else we also need to try and add in and see if we can do is, if you go and click on or destroy one of the moving targets, so if you go and play the game properly, we want to try and give you extra time, because I mean, you want the game to go on as long as you can, because it's fun like that. You don't really want to play a 20-second game. So that's what we'll do today. Eventually, when this opens, maybe I have to try and cancel it. Let's just go and force quit this and see what is happening here. Okay, so we'll close some of these because you can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just opening up the project here. So this is what I'm doing. It's currently yes, that's rubbish. That's not true. But it's currently opening up the project. It is taking a bit of a long time, but we'll get there. Okay, it's open. So let's close that. Don't know why that took so long the first time. But let's go and see, if we play the game, let's see what's happening. Let's get a refresh of our game. So everything's working nicely. I mean, the game is quite terrible in my opinion. So we want to go and add our time in. Okay, so let's go and do this. So in our scene here, we want to add in a new text component. So let's go to our canvas. So here we have our score. I'm going to copy and paste that, but then I am going to position it on the right hand side of the screen like that, and then what else? Okay, so now we want to put it at the same height as our other label. So this is our score label and it's at -20. So let's go and pop this at -20 as well. -20, not 200. And then what we also want to do is we want to align it to the right, like that. But we also want to give it some padding, so 38 on the left, and this one is going to be 38, -38, so it goes inside, so it looks like there's padding on the right of it. Okay, so we don't want it to say score, we want it to say timer, and we'll probably start with about 30 seconds for now. So in our game, if we expand that, we can see now we have a timer of 30 seconds. Okay, do you want to add in a, I don't know, we'll leave it like this for now, because when we go and code out our script, we'll probably overwrite it and just put the number that we, like the seconds left, and not the actual word timer. But let's go save that, and then in our, where is it? On our UI manager, let's go and open up this. So let's go and edit script. Actually, yeah, we will not edit that script. Yeah, we will make a new script called timer. We'll create and add that. So that is going to be over here somewhere. And we'll pop that into our scripts folder. And then we will open it up. And in here, this is where we are going to write our code. So what we need is we need a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our global script and create a global time. So here we have our timer. So this is all to do with time. So let's go and make it here. So let's go and say public static float. I think it might be a float. Yes, we'll keep it as a float for now. And this we'll call game over timer, like that. That is going to be equal to, we'll start with about 30 seconds for now. And then we can always change that later depending on if it needs to be shorter or longer. Let's go back into our timer class here. And in here we are going to need a few things. So first of all, we need to use Unity engine. You know what? Let's just do that. So we need to import our UI so that we can access our timer label. So here is going to be what is it? I completely forgot. I haven't done this in over a month. So it's going to be in our UI manager. So that is going to be our text mesh pro. That's the one we're looking for. So we'll copy that, paste that in there, and change it from score label to timer. Game over timer label. Okay, so we'll leave that like that. We probably don't need this. Rather, we need our text mesh pro. That's the one we need. So we'll save that. So that error should disappear, which it does. And now in our script here, we can probably get rid of our start because I don't think we need that. But in our update, this is where we are going to tell our timer to actually update. So every second it's going to go and count down. So let us go and get the current time. So here, actually we don't need to get that because we can get that from, actually we do need to get that. What we don't need to get is the timer that we already made in our global class, which is going to be the 30 seconds. So here we will go and say float. Let's call this current time. Okay, so we'll leave that like that. And then we have access to our global game over what's called game over timer float, so we don't need to bring that in here. We'll just use global dot game over float, I think, or game over timer. So in our update method here, we can go and say what we're going to do in here is let's bring this over here so I can see what I'm doing. So in here, what we want to do is we want to say the current time current time minus 1 times time dot delta time. So that should minus 1. What am I doing? Why is that not working? I have a bit of a problem with so we need to go and assign this. I think we need to go and assign our current time. So in our start here, we need to go and assign, yeah, let's do that. So in our start, what we'll do is we will go back to our, where is it, over here. So we'll save our script just so we can have access to our timer. So on our score label 1 here, yeah, actually on our UI manager, we have our timer script here. So we need to go and rename this to game over timer label, and then we'll save that. So in our UI manager, we'll drag that into there. So now we have access to this. So in our start method at the very beginning of the game, we want to go and say game over timer label is dot text is going to be equal to the current time. So this is going to be equal to the global dot game over timer. So that's going to set dot to string, hopefully like that. So that should work. Okay. So we'll save that like that. I'm just going to comment this out quickly, and then we'll go back into our game and then see if this works. So when we start the game, this timer now should just say 30, I believe. Yes. So instead of saying timer colon 30, it's just going to say 30. So let's go play the game and see that update. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to get that 30 to start counting down. So let's go back into our script. Where was it? Our timer script here. And in here we can go and say current time is also going to be equal to global dot game over timer, like that. Okay, we'll save that. So now we need to figure out why this is not working. So in our update method, this is where we need to go and subtract 1 every second. So that's what we are trying to do. And the reason why it's not working is because we need to add an equal. So the current time is going to be equal to minus 1 times time dot delta time. So and then after that, we need to go and say we actually need to go and update the text. So we can just go and copy this and paste this in here and save that like that. So that should solve the problem of whether our current time moves down towards 0. So did we save that? Yeah, we saved that. So play the game. And of course, like usual, that does not work. So let's go and see why it's not working. So the current time is equal to minus 1 times time dot delta time. Okay, game over timer label dot text is equal to Okay, so what we need to do here is, instead of saying this, because we've already assigned this over here, technically, and what we're doing here is just going back and getting that 30 and assigning it back to our label. So we want to go and set this from, instead of being the default timed value that we set in our global method, not global method, in our global class, we want to set it as the timer that is, as the current time, which is this float here that is currently being changed every second. So in here we can go and say our current time dot to string, because we need to convert it to a string, obviously, because it's a label. So we'll save that, and then we will go back into our game, and hopefully now we should be able to see that the timer actually counts down. So let's see what this looks like. So okay, so that is, I mean, it's doing something. That's a positive, I guess. But let's go and format this. So in our string here, we want to go and format it. So let's try and say 0 and see what that says. So that should format it to 0 decimal places, hopefully. But clearly that's not working because it is 0 all the time. So let's go and, first of all, let's go and add a check in our game and see if the current timer is equal to 0. So in here, what we want to do and say, what we want to go and say is say if the current time is less than or equal to 0, yeah. Then we want to go and say current time, and we will set this equal to 0. So another case, we don't want the, where's my screen? We don't want the timer in our game over here to ever go into the negatives. So when we are playing the game and you reach the game over time limit, we don't want it to display negative values, because when you get to 0, obviously the game is going to be over. So let's go here and say, actually I'm going to copy this, what am I doing? Copy that and say if the current timer is that, let's go and say game over. So this is just a temporary test quick. That is going to overwrite our actual timer label here, and it is going to say game over, which is not correct. I mean, it is correct, but that's not what we want. So let's see, what are we doing wrong here? So we're starting at 0. Actually, no. Yeah, we must be starting at 0. The current time is equal to global dot game over timer. Okay, which is correct. It's definitely reading that 30 value. Otherwise, we wouldn't really see the 30 in the game when we start it. Let's see. Update is called once per frame, so it's probably something to do here with our update method. Countdown text, yeah, countdown dot text is equal to current time dot toString. Let's go, I'm just gonna swap these quick and see if that makes any difference. Not that it should, but we'll play that and see game over. Okay, no. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a float here. Float. This is going to be our start time. I'm going to set that equal to 10 for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace our start here with these and this Actually, let's get rid of that because we don't really need that. It's going to do that over here in our update method anyway. So that's fine. Game over time label. Okay. Dot text is equal to current time dot string. Yeah, that's fine. So let's go save that and go back into our project here and let's see if having it in the current class makes any difference. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's just see something. Game over timer. UI manager, game over timer, that's fine. That's clearly something here is not working. Dot times time dot delta time. You know what, I'm just gonna go into our best friend here called Google. Let's see. Unity game make a count down timer. What happens if we get rid of the -1 and just say current time is equal to minus time dot delta time? Or I think it's the other way, minus equals. Like that. We'll save that, jump back into here, and then play that and see if that makes any difference. So, okay, there you go. Huh. Interesting. So now that that works, we can go back and get rid of that, and then where is it? Start time needs to be global dot game over timer. I think that's all we needed to change. So we'll save that, and then actually we'll leave that like that. Well, just for now. Yeah, I did save that. So let's go back and play the game again. So that's 30. 29, 28, 27, 26. Okay, so that's going to count down all the way to 0. But for testing purposes, I am going to change this just to 5 quick. Just so we can see if the actual check, if it's less than 0, works. So that we can see what happens when it goes below 0. So 2, 1, 0, game over. Okay, so as soon as it gets to this game over state, it's now going to want to present us a new panel. So let's go and create, no, not raw image. Let's go and create a new UI panel. And on this panel, well, I'm going to rename this game over panel. Like that. Okay, so we can go and increase the color to a little bit dark like that. We can go and position it in the middle, make sure that it fits the entire screen, and then let's jump back into our scene view here so that we can start making a few buttons on here so that we can play the game again or restart the game and even exit the game from here. So on our panel, let's go and create a text, and this text is going to be our game over message. So we'll make that bold. We'll also center it both horizontally and vertically. So in here it's going to be game over, and I want to change the font to that Christmas font, which I think is that one. Yeah, so we'll keep it as that one. We'll make it bigger, so let's say 150 maybe, like that. We will add a little bit of color to it, like this. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good. There we go. And then what we can do is we can go and create our button. So on our panel again, we can go and create another button. So button, this is going to be our restart button. I'm going to do this one quick. So let's change the size of it. Pop it in the middle somewhere like that. We can change the text of it to replay, I guess we can keep it like that. Can we change the font to, yeah, we can, that's cool. We'll change the font to about 50. We can probably make the background a dark, I don't know if I like that. Let's make it like that. Then the color of the text, we shall make it green, because no, that's the wrong one. What? That's the, why is it changing the, that's very weird. Text. Let's go and change this to replay text. Hopefully that makes a difference. Why is that? Is it changing both? Oh, okay, it is. That's very weird. But anyway, we will, I guess we're leaving it red. We'll change the background of the color of the button to green. Like that. And then the replay text, we will make it bigger and say about 75. Is that fine? I mean, yeah, that's fine. Let's change the background to a darker color like that and make it a little bit bigger. So the height is going to be 100 by 490. Actually, you know what? Let's go and say 500. Let's round it off. So let's go and copy and paste that. Then we can move that down to there somewhere and change this one to quit. And I'm going to change the background of this one to a slightly darkish reddish color like that, just so it makes more sense. I don't really like that font on the buttons. It's a bit too small to read. What happens if can we make it bold? Because then it will kind of thicken it out a bit. Yeah, that looks better. So we'll leave it like that. What we will do is okay, that's already bold. I just want to make this bigger because we'll make it like that, but then we shall go and make it wider like that. So that's fine. Bring that down a bit like that. And then we can bring these down as well like that. So that is fine. Now we need to go and get those buttons to work. So on our UI manager, we will add in another script and say game over manager. So create that. What we also need to do in our global class here, we need to add a new boolean to say public static boolean. This is going to be called game over is equal to false. So whenever our game is over, we are going to go and set this to true, and then if the game is over, obviously we want the background of the game to stop. So in our move target here, we don't want to be doing any of this if our game is over. So here we can simply go and say if global dot game over, then we don't want to do any of this, so we'll pop that in there. But that is saying if our game is over, go and do that. So we want to say if our game is not over, then we only want to go and do that. So that should be fine. Instantiate target object. We also don't want to instantiate our target object if the game is over, so we'll add the same thing. So if the game is not, if global dot game, so if it's not, if the game is not over, then go ahead and do all of that and instantiate a new target object. Okay, so I think that is it for that. What we want to do now is we want to that script did not open, did it? So let's go and open this up, edit script. So in here we could probably get rid of these, and here all we need to do is import our scene management, and then we also need to create our two functions, one for replaying the game and the other one for quitting the game. So here we can say public. They have to be public so that we can access them in the inspector. So public doesn't have to be static, it needs to be void. Public void game over. No, let's say quit, just to keep it. I feel like we already have these. Audio manager, destroy, global, insert it, left, menu script. I think we have it on menu script. Okay, we shall leave it separate. So here we'll just say application, if I can type it, application dot quit. So that's going to quit our game. The next one is going to be our replay. And this is going to simply just reload our game. I think you can do that. Scene manager dot load global dot game scene. Cool. So we'll save that and then get rid of those because we don't need that. Okay, so let's jump back into the game here and see what's happening. So if we press play, actually this is not going to work, but let's have a look and see what happens. So first of all, we don't want this menu to be on the screen, so let's go and say disable that. And when we go and where is it, our timer here, why did I just close that? So let's open up our timer here. So when we check if the what's it called, if the time is equal to 0 and the game is over, hence you finished, you run out of time, do something in here. This is where we want to go and say global dot game over is equal to true, and then we also need to reference our panel. So we'll create a game object, and this is going to be our game over panel. So we'll drag that into there, and then in here we can go and say, after we set it to true, we can go and say game over, I can do that again, game over panel dot set active true, like that. But something we also need to do is we need to actually, let's go and I don't think we need to do this, but we might have to reset the game over boolean to false whenever we click the replay button. So let's go play the game and see if this disappears. So it should, actually it's not going to disappear because I haven't disabled it, so we'll manually disable it like that, and then we'll play the game. This should go down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, game over. Okay, so that's not going to work because we haven't dragged it in. So UI manager, game over panel in there. What I also noticed is that our game didn't stop in the background, so let's try that again. 2, 1, 0. So okay, so our game over panel does come back. We don't have anything spawning into our scene, which is good, but one thing I did forget to do is our moving left to right. So we don't want to do any of this if our game, oh no, what is it called, global, let's try that again, global dot game over. Okay, so if our game is not over, then we can go and do all of this. Cool, so that should be it for our game. Let's go and test this out. So I'm gonna save this. Actually, it's not the end of our game. I figured out, or I remembered something else we need to do. We need to add 1 second to our timer whenever we go and click on a target. What's the time? 34. Okay, so the video is getting a bit long, so let's go and do this quick. So in our game, we'll play it just to make sure that things are actually working nicely. Okay, so we ran out of time, so let's press replay. Okay, we haven't assigned those yet, so that's something we also need to do. So game over panel, in our game over here, for our restart button, we want to actually just select both of them. Let's go and add a new one, new on click event. So our reset button is going to be assigned to our replay, and our, I think this is, we need to change this. Our reset button, bracket 1 bracket, is going to be our quit button. So this is going to be assigned to our quit method. So now we can save that and play the game again and see if this works. So game over, replay presents the game again. We can see that we need to go and reset our game over, what's it called? Boolean. So on our, what did we just do? Game over manager. So in here, if we press replay, we need to go and say global dot game over is equal to false. We also might need to actually let's go see if this works, because I think I saw that the timer was counting down. So if we press play, let the game run out of time so that we get our game over manager, game over panel. So 1-0 game over, replay. So clearly that doesn't work. Interesting. Let's see what we're gonna do. What I'm gonna do is I am going to, in our, where we're gonna do this, in our, let's see, where are we? Global? No, we don't have methods in here. Game over manager. We need to try and figure out if this value is set to true or not. So the game is working. We can go and quit, but that doesn't do anything because it's in Unity. If we press replay, the game gets started again, but we need to figure out why that is. You know what we could do? Instead of saying this game over false, let's just do this. It'll save us a lot of time. Global game over, we'll take that away so we can get our errors. Move target if game is over. Actually, I don't think this is gonna work the way I want it to work. Save that. Left to right movement. Actually, I think it will work. So what I'm thinking here is we can say, where is it? In our timer method here, we can get rid of this and simply say, how do you, completely forgot how to pause a game. Where's Google? Unity, pause, gameplay. So in here we can go and say time dot time scale is equal to 0. So let us go and see if that works. Did I not do that correctly? No, I forgot to put that there. Okay. What else do we need to do? Now we've set, actually let's go and play this and see what happens. Just to make sure this actually does pause the game. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Game is paused, we can replay. Okay, so now we need to go and when we press replay, let's copy that and go and see if this method works. So where is our game over manager? In here we can go and say timescale is equal to 1, so that should resume our game back into the normal playing state. So let us play this game, run it down to 0. Okay, game is pause, game replay, and that doesn't work. Okay, so let's go and let's do this. Let's put this up here. And this could just be a simple case of having to put the boolean before it as well. So let's play the game and see. Hopefully this works, otherwise we're scrapping the pause menu. Game over, replay. Okay, so this should work, but it clearly it's not working. Scripting, now does it work? That's weird, why is it not working? Trying to think of, we could add a button to resume the game, but that's just the extra work that we don't really want to do, and we want to finish this game off. Actually, you know what we're going to do? Let's go to our destroy on mouse click, and in here we're going to add some time to our timer. I'm trying to think of what the best way to do this. We could make it a global variable, so that we can just add one to it. So let's try that. So let's get rid of this and say in our global script here, where did we do this here? So here we can go and say public static, or rather do that, public static float current time, save that. And then in our timer here, we can go and just say global, hopefully this works. Although I feel like this is not going to work. So in our, where was I? In our destroy on mouse click, here we want to go and say destroy global dot current timer plus equals 1. I think that might work, so we'll save that and then jump back into our game, and now we should be able to see if we click on a target object and actually destroy it using our mouse, we should get an extra point. Okay, so I think it does work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this up to from 5 to 30, just the way we had it before, just so we can check and see if our timer increment is working when we destroy an object. So let's go and play the game. So now we should get our, okay, so 26, let's see, where the thing is, it's hard to focus on the number and the target object as well. So 18, okay, I don't know if that worked. Okay, so I think it did work, so let's try and see. 10, 9, I mean, I think it is working, so that's a plus. 5, 4. The problem is the timer is going too fast compared to the rest of the game, so we'll probably have to play it on the harder level to actually get a high score, otherwise we might have to increase this to a minute. So we'll give the player a minute to play the game. Now the only problem and the only thing that's left with this game is that pausing. I mean, it's not a big issue, we could probably just scrap it completely, and I think then that's what we might just do, mainly because we're nearly going over 45 minutes on this video. So 50, okay, I think that's working. 49, 46, I'm trying to and get one. 43, I can't get there with it. I'm looking at the timer but also trying to click on the target object without moving my eyes. off of the timer. Okay, it does work. I caught it. So something else we could do that we don't. I mean, I probably should do, but let's go do it quick. On our game over menu, we are going to increase the background of it. Why? Image. Oh, that's why. Why did we disable that? So let's go make this lighter, or a bit darker like that. And then I also want to add in our score to our game over panel. So we'll just go and add in a text here. I'm going to move this up over here, and this is going to say score is going to be equal to your current score. So we'll make that bold, and then we will add a color to this. Probably we've got a lot of red. Let's make it a weird color. I mean, the game is terrible. Let's just make this a terrible color. Let's make it yellow, something like that. We'll change the size of it to about 50. Actually, let's make that about 40, like that. I'm gonna increase the size of it just because, why not? Just in case someone gets a high score, like a really high score. We can go ahead and center it both vertically and horizontally, and then I will go and move it into the middle, like that. So now what we want to do in our UI manager, we have a score label here. So let's go open this and see if we can do it in here. So score label. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I am going to say game over manager. No, not that one. Timer. Can we do it in here? Game over panel. Okay, so let's do it in here. So TextMesh Pro, we are going to have a game over. Let's go ahead and say it's going to be our final score label, and then in our actually we probably should do this somewhere else, because we don't really want to do it in the update method, because it's going to be updating every frame, which is not really what we want. So I mean, who cares? Let's just do it in here. That's the last thing we need to do. So in here, let's go and say actually, I don't think I want to do it in here. That's very strange. Let's go into our timer. Actually, that's where we are. Game over. So game. Actually, yeah, we're gonna do it in here. You know what? Let's do it. So if the game is over, let's go and say game over panel. No, what are we doing? Final score label dot text is going to be equal to our global dot score. Rather, let's do this. Dollar sign score, and this is going to be equal to like this. Just like that. Okay, so we'll save that. So that should assign our global our score to our game over panel. So let's go, and I think we need to disable this again because we enabled it. So let's go and play the game. And now when we now we have to, actually I'm not going to wait that long. Let's go and change that back. We're 60, let's go make it 5 just so we can see if this actually works. So actually we might need to make it longer so we can actually get some score. So let's go and see. Before we do that, let's just do it. Otherwise we might have to go back and play the game again. So 10 seconds on the clock, we'll get a quick score, and then we shall see if when the game is over, if the if the score label updates. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so score is not working. That's weird. Okay, that's why. I know. So text here, actually then we need to drag that into there, because this is now going to be our final score label. Save that, and play this again. So now we do that again, and hopefully we shall get a score on our final game object, not game object, game over panel. So game over, oh my goodness, of course it's not going to work. UI manager, final score label. Oh, that's why did I do that? Final score label in there. What am I doing? Final score label in there and game over panel in there. I assigned them to the wrong ones. So we'll play that, and then now we do this again. Click on there. Okay, so we've got 5. That's pretty much all we need, really. We've got 10. Hopefully that's okay, so score is equal to 10. Great, that is working nicely. The only thing is this replay is not really working, but we could just do something simple and do this. Get rid of that. I mean, you don't really want your game to be like this, but who cares? We want to get rid of this game because this game's boring and it looks terrible and it's a mess. And if you're making a game, don't make a game like this, because this is the wrong way of making a game. So let us go play the game. And now I'm just going to let the game run down, just because actually this is not going to work. Actually it might work. 5. Let's play replay. It's not going to work. What we also need to do is we need to go and say global dot score is equal to 0, because we need to reset that back to 0. So hopefully that actually does something. The problem is I don't think it's going to do anything, because I'm going to need to get a score quick before replay. So that doesn't count because, okay, so we got 5. I didn't get a score before, so I couldn't really see if it reset. So we have 5 on our score. Hopefully now it does get reset when we get game over. So replay, score set to 0. So let's go and press another one. 5. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So let's go, and actually that's done. We are just going to leave it over there, but we can go and change this back to 60, because we can give the player 60 seconds, which is also a minute. So that is it for this video, and not only this video, that is it for this game series and this carnival game. Our Christmas game has come to an end, finally. I never thought I would say that. Everyone loves Christmas, but it's been a long time since we started this game, and it was supposed to be finished about a month ago. But it's finished now, and we can move on to getting back to our slab stacker, as well as getting back to our Tetris game, because I really want to get that done, because that is an awesome game and you can add some cool things to that. So for today, that is pretty much it. This is a long video, but like I said, we want to get this video done and this game series done, so we can move on to the next 2. So yeah, tomorrow I'll see you in the slab stacker game, which we are going to restart from scratch. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.